Oh, hello, hello there, Outliers. Niiamah, Sean here, and thank you so very much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. We are coming at you live here on the Outliers Edge Roundtable as we have three incredible outliers who are here to join us and to play our game. All right. So I'm very, very, very excited to introduce Ashik, Matthew, and Michelle here to be our outliers here. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for building the experience to get the invitation. And then let's go ahead and see what we create from this list. Are y'all good to go with that?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. All right, let's play it out. So I want to bring each of you on by giving outliers a chance to get to know you. So would you mind letting us know more about, we'll go with Ashik first. Would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
My game is the Empathy Clinic, and I've been managing the Empathy Clinic for many, many years. And I'm very interested in how I can not just manufacture, but express and spread the method and the ideas of how empathy can make pretty well any human experience more advantageous, whether it's a relationship at home, a relationship at work, or with my trusted advisory colleagues, Matthew and Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashik. Like this is helpful. I'm excited to play with this year. And what I love here is I'm like, oh, like you really get empathy. So I'm excited to see how all that like shows out and plays. Michelle, let's get to know you a bit here. You mind letting us know more about you and the game you're playing?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Michele Molitor here. My company is Nectar Consulting, and I'm a transformational guide and clinical hypnotherapist, helping folks get at the what's missing in their lives, that something that they can't quite put their finger on, but they're trying to find that richer, deeper meaning in their lives so they can have success on multiple levels every single day.
Mm-mm-mm. Oh, I'm looking like what I enjoy about this year is the being able to name the thing that's been hard to name. Like that's one of the things I get about you here, and so I'm excited to see what gets named in this space as a result of us being together. Thanks so much here. All right, and Matthew, why don't you bring us home on this one here? Let us know more about you and the game you are currently playing.
Niiamah, thank you for giving us the space to come together and share. I'm the CEO of the Percipio Company, Matthew Cahill. We at the Percipio Company work to mitigate bias in all of its forms. So I take a tremendous amount of pride in meeting every client, every company, where they are, and we identify the biases that are holding them back, and then we get them to where they need to be.
Mm. All right, so now like I'm seeing we have a trio here, and so outliers. There's another special bonus that you get because these are not normally I have like three people who don't know each other and all this other things, but these three have come together to create something incredible together. And so, would you mind letting us know more about what you have created together? Like who would like to lead us on that, and just make sure outliers get a chance to see that as well.
I think we want to defer to me, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, Matthew, take it away. Go ahead.
The Trusted Advisory Group, and I'm going to keep it very brief because I want to hear how Ashok and Michelle layer on to this definition of a trusted advisory group. It is the evolution of our collective work together in a former context called inclusive leadership in a virtual world. That gathering was born out of the pandemic. It was a byproduct of the pandemic in 2020. We met weekly for 5 years and just had an incredible, incredible run to hone our inclusive leadership skills. And we've collected these best practices around empathy and around how the mind works and around systemic biases and how to disrupt them. And now we're bringing this new offering to the world. And I can't be more ecstatic to be doing this with two amazing, amazing professionals. They're the real reason that I'm here, Ashok and Michelle.
Well, thank you, Matthew. I think what has been born here with the Trusted Advisory Group International, which is the virtual realm of this. Matthew also has in-person versions of this as well in the San Francisco Bay Area, soon to be expanding. And so what the three of us bring together collectively to tag the Trusted Advisory Group is these three unique perspectives, Niiamah, on how do you bring perspective and alignment and empathy to your work as a leader, but also as a human being, right? Because we are more than just our work, even though as business professionals, we often, our identity is our work. And so the unique facets of tag is really about how do we work with these business leaders in a way that allows them to see the wholeness of themselves and to build up those different parts of themselves that perhaps maybe they had pushed into dark corners for a little while.
Oh, that's fantastic here. Ashok, I want to make sure, like, is there anything else? Like, is there a sprinkle that we need to add into the mix?
Niiamah, I'm always sprinkling. I'm the sprinkle
Oh, there
guy.
we go.
So
Listening, sprinkling.
a huge issue for human beings is to deal with the essence of being alone. And even though we have developed tremendous skills to connect with each other, we still have to manage that feeling of aloneness. And because we're working mostly with solopreneurs who are working alone with a business, we're providing an opportunity to not be alone, to share feelings and thoughts and experiences and advice with a trusted group, so the aloneness doesn't have to feel like loneliness. It can feel like a group. And the power of the group is the group.
So I will say this here, y'all are speaking to like my heart right now, in many different ways. So if I may, I'm gonna pull out a couple of different things, and I reflect as we have our conversations. One, Outliers, I just want to like capture this for you. Actually, I'll capture it for me. One of the things I really appreciate about each of you is how much in your power and in the ownership of what you do, each of you have individually. It's really cool to see, like, oh, there are three distinct people who are all like doing the work of coaching and transformation and beyond, but like each of you own. You're like, I do empathy and I'm like systemic biases, and like so it's really wonderful to be in this space. And I realized for myself that I have been hiding because I've been trying to make myself more palatable to people on a broader basis. And it's been very nice being in space with each of you to see how you own it here, to be like, oh, actually, you could just say the thing. And that brings a lot of clarity and a lot of freedom and beyond. So this has impact on me, and I'm grateful for it. So that's one. All right. Two is I'm just thinking about how, like, this was actually a really great example, seeing how everything came together here with Matthew being like, I guess it's being deferred to me. I love that you called that in this space here, right? That it wasn't like I got the level of honesty that you bring, the level of awareness, and the level of trust that you all have with each other, as well as playfulness, right? I get that like great work gets done, but it's not done in like a mundane way at all. And so that felt really lovely, just to like see the three of you in action, even just in that space. And then Ashok, I can't help it. You're like, I come in, I'm sprinkling. I felt Salt Bay, you're just like coming in and just throwing in the salt as necessary. So like, I firstly just thank you for being what you like stand for. I just make sure like I feel that level of integrity, and it's really wonderful to be in. And Outliers, I'm going to ask you, like, in what ways are you showing up with this level of clarity and congruence, such that like who you be and what you say like line up immediately, like right in their introductions. I'm like, I get you, and I believe you, and I trust you. I'm sure, like, I mean, it's in the name, but I'm sure that's why people come to the Trusted Advisory Group International as well. Anything you want to say about like anything about that kind of experience of how I'm receiving you to start out here? Any kind of reflections you have on that? Otherwise, I'll start asking some other questions.
Well, I'd like to just answer that from a musical point of view, because I am a musician. When you start playing with people, you want three sounds to become one sound. And because we've been working together for such a while now, And I love these people. I'm not just saying that these are my colleagues. And there's a true sense of connection. But we are harmonizing and making music together. We want to share that music and demonstrate how that can happen in the communities that we're working in. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well,
Yeah,
let's make some more music here together. Matthew, I hear you. What would you like done?
just there's a frequency to continue with that metaphor between the three of us and how we do what we do. And I think that is the holy grail for anyone, like even with you, Niiamah, in this podcast. Like you create a vibe, and we pick up on it. And it comes even with the opening line, like, what game are you trying to play? And framing this as a game, I immediately thought, oh, the game of life. Well, what we do is operate at that intersection of personal and professional. And in today's world, on March 18th of 2026, it's so hard to compartmentalize. You can't, right? I think people wake up and they realize, like, oh my gosh, if I lost my job, I've lost my soul. I've lost my identity. And that's, a realization, I think, that just happens over the arc of one's professional life. And we're gathering people who want to move from founders to executives. They want to create a space between themselves and their business so that their business can almost take on a life of its own.
There's a nice distinction here. I have some questions I'm going to ask you a bit, but I like that element of like moving from founders to executives, right? Like that feels like a pretty like unique space to be playing in. And I also really like this element of like the business can take a life of its own. And I've been thinking about that recently when I think about different things with Outliers, where it's like, are we looking for the business to not have us in there? And I don't think that's actually like the intent. It's like it's like how do we create culture? How do we show up in our leadership? How do we create such robustness such that this thing can continue to grow and flourish in alignment with the unique properties or the unique visions that we have, and there at least ways we go and we serve our clients. Or for my thing, I look at it what we're here on this planet to do. What we're here to fulfill. So I really like that angle you have from founder to executive. Outliers, think about it for yourself. To me, it's a totally different level of the game, and totally different identity of playing it here.
It's bring like the big leagues. It's run with that metaphor, minor leagues to the major leagues. Like you're up leveling your game and really seeing yourself differently. You have to see yourself differently before others are going to see you that way.
Yeah, I like to think of it as in mindfulness, Niiamah, that we practice breathing, we practice being in the present moment and seeing our thoughts as this other entity, like clouds passing in the sky. We are not our thoughts. We are our spirit, our soul, and then we have these thoughts, right? So I think we are approaching TAG in that manner as how can we help business owners be their authentic selves with full heart and be able to see their business as this separate entity instead of it being, I am my business, right? I think a lot of solopreneurs often operate from that, I am my business. And when that goes away, oh my gosh, who am I now? Right. And then they come to an existential crisis of now what, right? So we're trying to help create that separation so that they're able to live life more fully, more authentically, while also having a thriving business.
So this brings me up here. Some of the things that really caught me when you all were introducing yourselves was that you talked about what existed in TAG before it was TAG. You said you had another iteration of things, and you met weekly for 5 years, right? And I would love to just talk here about when I hear that, I hear evolution, I hear growth, right? And I hear like building something new. You feel like something got reinvented as a result of that. So I would love for you to talk real quick here about your experience of one showing up every single week for 5 years here together, and what new things you discovered by going on that journey that then allowed you to then say, like, you know what, we should actually codify this in a new and refreshed way? You mind speaking to that?
But I'd like to just point out something here about perspective, because perspective is very, very important. And I think what happened during the pandemic, when inclusive leadership in the virtual world started up, is that people were dealing with, as I mentioned earlier, loneliness, but also a perspective. It gave them a landing point for how they could see themselves within the group. What we're doing with TAG, which I think is very, very fascinating to me, is that we're helping people with their self-empathy. It's very hard to look at yourself without getting outside of yourself to see yourself. And we're actually providing that group. It's like being surrounded in mirrors who can help you see yourself from a brand new perspective to amplify the power that you have of understanding yourself and then being able to express that externally to your community.
While also helping you see the thing that's stuck on the end of your nose that maybe you can't see because it's too close, right? And go, oh, maybe if we just wipe that off, if we just helped you move that out of the way, what's possible, right? It's like taking fear blinders off and going, oh, wow, there's all these other possibilities available to me that I just didn't know because I couldn't see them.
You know, there's, yeah, ahead, Matthew.
I'll just add, I think in a culture that's as individualistic as the United States, it's a group is transcendent. When you really feel like you belong to a group, your size becomes smaller, because without it, people tend to get really myopic and they think it's all about them. And, you know, when you really find that the power of a group, like what Ashok was alluding to, having these mirrors around you, what, you know, reflects back, you may not like it initially, right? But you don't see it unless you have high degrees of trust and you're willing to receive it. Otherwise, you just keep storming on with your blinders on and, you know, running people over and whatever. I mean, it's just a recipe for loneliness, failure, you know, maybe short-term productivity, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah, I want to stay on the element of group here for a bit. I had like a totally different place I was going to go, but now that you're talking about it, I also realized, like, I don't talk about group stuff enough. And I love to just I love to explore. I love to see how y'all are thinking about it, how you like loneliness. I was like, when you brought that up, I was like, oh, like, hit me with it. And the distinction that you had between being alone and being lonely, like that felt really transcendent. And, you know, we were talking to outliers, and the thing about an outlier, the way that I imagine it in my mind is that, like, we are part of a data set. We're part of some like group thing, people, but like most people are in like the average. They're in, like, you know, if you think about the bell curve, most people are like all with each other, and it makes sense there, but they're out on their own. They're out on the edges of it, and that can feel very lonely. And part of the reason why I do this is because there's a big gravity to come in and say, well, I don't want to be alone, or like I have this new idea that's coming out to life, where the business is going in a direction here, and like, how do I continue to up level? But when I look around me, everyone else is kind of like moving around in the same way, but I like to dance, for example, right? And so I want to play with this idea of group. I think it's incredibly important for outliers, because like like what I hear is like we feel like we're on an island, right? We're talking to solo, like so many of us are solopreneurs. So you're like we're talking, and we know these challenges. We feel like we're on an island, and I don't ever really talk about like group. That's like, I don't even like, even this podcast, it's a group podcast, and it almost always is. Why? Because one, there's new connections, there's new ways of thinking about things, there's new perspectives, right? And it's a different experience than what people may go through on a regular basis. So like, why don't y'all talk to me about like what you have found to be like some of the things that, you know, an individual who's out there maybe a little bit more lonely or on an island, what are some of the things that they find to be different for them once they enter into a group experience instead? Anyone want to speak to that?
Well,
I'll jump in first, Niiamah. I think it's about belonging, right? The pandemic was a really interesting time that had everybody reevaluate their lives on many different levels, and it forced us into isolation. And I think it made us realize there is a power to feeling like we belong. And I don't know that solopreneurs have necessarily been able to step into a place of belonging. Um, I work by myself at home every day, right? And so having this group and this collaboration with these two amazing people, it brings me great joy. And to be able to bring other executives and small business owners into this so that they know they have this trusted circle of advisors to lean into, to gain advice from, to seek new and fresh and different perspectives that they hadn't seen before is priceless.
I want to keep on this thing here. I'm going to ask a question here, but I'm going to change the focus of it a little bit. I'm curious about it for your own experiences. So that's usually how we do things here in Outliers Edge, where we talk about like the thing here. So like let's assume right now that outliers get the value of being in a group, but they haven't experienced it yet. So like, would y'all mind like sharing either a story of something that's happened inside of the group, or of your own experience of like, like being on your own versus when you decided to be a part of a group or something like that? I'd love to just like help make it real for us here. Would you mind if someone have anything they want to come and share to help illustrate that for us?
Well, I can easily answer that one, Niiamah.
Yeah, Ashok. Yeah.
I'm a total introvert, like slam dunk introvert. And when the pandemic started, my daughter said, "You should get on social media, Daddy." And I said, "Why would I do that? There's people there." But then when I did get on it, I met people like Michele and Matthew, and look at us now. And I think a group is as simple as our hand. Our hand is a group of fingers who cooperate together to do all kinds of things. And we can produce all kinds of things because of the group of our hand. I think working with other people that's how we're supposed to be on this planet. We're supposed to live in a village and live in a tribe and work and in groups together.
Yeah, going back to Michelle's word of belonging, it's there's a handful of times in my life when I really felt like I belong, and some of them go back to like childhood memories. Some go into high school. Some go into actually middle school. There was probably a gap. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere in middle school, but I think that's true.
I don't think anybody does in
middle school at the time. Yeah. If you're listening to this and you're in middle school right now, like you're not alone. Like, it gets better again.
I swear it gets better. It does.
For sure. But as adults, I think more often than not, I use this language, like me bias. Like it's one of the 5 most common cognitive biases, but we just gravitate towards people like us. And it happens starting in high school, where you get these little cliques of people, the jocks, the nerds, the whatever. I don't know what the common language is used now. There's, on Facebook, it manifested itself with like 14 different identity types. Like you can pick these different things that you can latch onto, but they were all geared towards identifying like individual, like reinforcing this notion that we're not connected. And I think that's the danger of like me bias. Like in one sense, it's great. You just gravitate towards people like you. It's harmless. It's wonderful. It's great. But then you end up over time in homogenous communities where you're just feeling alone all over again. And so I think, mitigating that in some way, disrupting that in some way, and really, getting yourself out of that comfort zone, right? Maybe it's just going to a movie by yourself, or maybe, if you really dig into people, you'll hear these moments in their life where they just kind of disrupt that pattern that society pushes us down, which is to isolate and to be an individual and to think, you are entitled to something, or you are privileged over something, or you matter over somebody else. And that is a false notion, right? And I think, but that is a driver of our economy at some level. And I think what we're trying to do is just create space where we don't have to succumb to those kind of social pressures. where we can really be with one another, learn from one another, unlearn some of these instilled habits that don't serve us well, and then relearn some new ones that do.
So you just walked into my favorite phrase here, which is the comfort zone, right? And so as we look at this here, outliers edge, there's two words to it. It's outliers and edge. And so right now I've been like exploring how y'all are like outliers in the sense of like you like your journey, how you came up with something like unique, and then how you each bring your individual like contributions toward this collective like experience, and then create a group experience that is unparalleled and hasn't been seen before, right? And it's really cool outliers as you're paying attention, as you're having this conversation, like you can listen to their words, but also see, because you're all leaders in this space, see how they're interacting. As you're talking, I'm asking myself, whoa, what would it be like to just like have a partnership with people, to be in this like you're solopreneurs, but you're not alone. Like together you've come together and you've decided to build something with it and continue to grow out with it. So outliers, pay attention to this here. Like, so it's not just the words that are being said; it's how they're interacted. It's and like going back to like talk about middle school and high school here. I'm like, oh, I remember what it was like when I didn't have to do everything alone. And so like there's something to that is really, it's really standing out. You brought in comfort zone, Matthew, and I think that's an important place to go, because while we've talked about the outlier side, we got to get to the edge, right? So this is the edge of your comfort zone, the edge of what makes you, what gives you the advantage and such. So why don't y'all share this here? It could be within TAG overall, or it could be within your individual businesses, or just like your individual pursuits. But would you mind sharing here something that you're taking on right now, a project, an undertaking, a desire that is causing you to have to get out of your comfort zone? And another way of looking at it is like, it might give you sweaty palms, but you have to become someone bigger than who you've been in the past. All right. Would you mind sharing something about that? Is anything coming to mind? Anything coming to heart? I know y'all play a big game, so I'm hoping something does.
Well, I'll dive in. I decided the end of 2024, after a few decades of putting it off, I've actually gone back to grad school. So in addition to working full time, I'm going to grad school full time to get my master's in marriage and family therapy, because it's an up leveling for me and my skills, and it pushes me outside the edges of my comfort zone to learn and explore in new ways and shapes to be of service in bigger, bolder ways in the future, because I don't think we're going to run out of anxious people anytime soon. So that's my big game that I'm playing right now, and I'm absolutely loving it, even though it stresses me out a wee bit from
Oh, I
time to
love
time.
this. I love this. I'm gonna. There's something you said. I'm gonna want to come in here, but I want to give space to Matthew and Ashok to see if there's anything else they want to bring in. But thank you, Michelle. I'm going to come back to that in a bit.
Go ahead, Ashok.
Well, I've lived on a flat world for a long time, and meeting Michelle and Matthew has enabled me to get to the edge and realize that my world is no longer flat. It's round and I can't fall off it. And meeting these people has not just been as I said earlier, a collegial experience. It's creating a group that I can trust as well, and helping me get out of that little tiny square space that I used to live in and to move into this new space right now has been a growth experience for me, even though I'm in my 60s and retiring from my job and moving into this. So this is my edge. I'm literally outlying on my edge with these new people and TAG.
Nice. I love that we're seeing it in real time. And Matthew,
Yeah.
like, did you want to bring in?
Of course, Niiamah. When you and I first met and we talked, the Outliers edge struck me as like this collection of individuals, whether it be online or in a community. But Outliers implies, they're individuals. But the Outliers edge, like we noticed, like the space that we're in now, we have a collective, and we can gather in this edge and then take on the mainstream, disrupt the status quo, get out of our comfort zones, because you don't get to be an outlier without succumbing to that individual path, right? And just kind of, you don't fit into this malaise of mainstream, right? By very definition, you're an individual, but, connecting with you to do this and speak to, other outliers, it's an invitation, Come on, let's together we are so much stronger than we are as individual outliers.
Yeah, this is so. As you say, this is making me reflect on some things as well. Where it's like, yeah, it's inherent. You don't get to be an outlier if you're like with other people doing it. It's like. I mean, there's variations, but generally speaking, it's like it's in the name. It's part of what of what the journey is. So I'm taking that back in as a reflection as well, and I'm enjoying like being in space with you all because not only do y'all have your comfort, but it's like it's almost as though like I'm like, okay, I know like when we ask a question, we're gonna get the three different perspectives in it, you know, and I can hear and see what it is, and I'm imagining as we're talking, I'm like, oh, what would it be like to continue like building out the business, and not just having my brain on it. You know, it often talk about like, you know, when you're the most interesting person in the room, you're in the wrong room. But like as a solopreneur, it's like, well, I'm the only one in the room, you know, and like usually when I bring on someone else, like I'm bringing them on and I have this like I'm holding the big picture in my mind and I could see the whole thing and maybe I'm having someone come help me with like these individual pieces, but it's not often that we get someone to like hold the whole picture with you all here. And so like I'm getting what I'm feeling is a bit of freedom, if I'm going to be honest, right?
Mm.
And the freedom, I think I called out when we introduced ourselves, like how each of you were so owned what you did so well. You each had like knew your lane and then came together and said, okay, well, if we brought 100 plus 100 and 100, like we get more than 300% together. You know, like there's something that came out of it, and the freedom that I feel is like, oh, I don't have to do it all. You know, like Matthew doesn't have to put on like, well, we should also look at this from an empathetic perspective, or like, let's look at the mindfulness perspective. Like, we actually have like, you can, but you don't have to. And so I'm curious about I'm gonna keep it a little bit broad, but I'm gonna talk about like what are some of the benefits that you have found in either working together or like the freedom that you've experienced and not having to be everything to everyone, even though you are the masters of your domain. So I'll leave it at that. Let's just see where the conversation goes. It's a feeling that Fezza wants to be expressed.
So I'm just going to chime in right away, Niiamah. And by the way, you have a gorgeous smile and a gorgeous sounding voice.
Thank you.
It's distracting me a little bit, so keep it.
That is it. I have the right angle of the left angle side of the distraction, so I'm doing my job right. There we go.
You said an important phrase, if I can be honest. And I'm just going to gently change that. If I can be vulnerable. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make people feel safe to be vulnerable. And if people feel safe and vulnerable, then they can share and learn in a much more open space, especially if they're feeling, and that's how we're building trust, by creating a safe place without vulnerability. We know we usually have honesty, but we're going for vulnerability because that's where people are going to grow the most when they do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
To add on to that, Brene Brown has done such beautiful work around this, but vulnerability is a superpower. Many years ago, and I like one of my very first coach trainings, back over 2 decades ago, a brilliant teacher of mine, he said, Michele, when you're vulnerable, you're so much more approachable. And I was like, no, thank you. That sounds really scary. Right? That just like, whoa. And I've had to learn that lesson over and over and over again. Like, oh, actually, when I do bring my full heart, my open heart to the conversation, it lowers the barriers for other people. They allow their walls to fall down, and then they open their hearts and their minds to new ideas and new concepts. And so I want to underscore that vulnerability is not a bad thing. Think of it more as an open space, an open field that you can invite others into, to have more genuine, more authentic conversations that allow people to feel seen and heard and respected, perhaps in a way that they've never felt before.
Yeah, and I'll just tack on, we collectively in North America, not just the United States, and I think it's a global trend, such a shame-based society that we fear being vulnerable because you're just going to get shamed for it in some way, shape, or form. And that I think is one of the, pernicious barriers that we have to constantly bang against, because it's still so pronounced in our world. And there's so many examples of poor leadership that fly in the face of that. And I'm including all of the contemporary political winds that are blowing right now.
This is there's something that's taking place inside right now as y'all are talking, and the space that comes in here is like the space to be, the alignment of that in leadership, right? And so like we're going to be wrapping up here, but I am really curious, like. So I'm curious, but I'm also really grateful. I think I'm going to start with the gratefulness, right? And Ashok, you brought up like the space of honesty versus vulnerability. It's an interesting distinction that you have me like right now, like going through, because it's I can be honest and transparent, but I'm curious like what is vulnerable for me right now, like and I think outliers, as you're listening and you're in this here, like I want to invite you to slow down with that distinction here, right? How much are you in quote unquote open book, but like at the same time no one like knows what's happening inside of those pages. You're not able to read between the lines because you're not actually allowing them in, right? Actually allowing them in. So there's that I'm allowing this conversation to hit me in real time, and I think we're gonna maybe wrap with this one here. So now each of us have talked about vulnerability. Like let's make it real. I think that's where we'll go with this. Let's what was a recent time where y'all decided to go like allow vulnerability to show up, and what were one of the benefits that came of it? Actually, I think we're gonna do both. What was the benefit and the cost? Because I think it is important, especially Matthew, you were talking about having safe spaces to places where people feel safe enough to go off. I say safe to be brave or safe to be courageous, and I think with that there's the element of like there was a cost to doing this, but the benefit far outweighed it. So would you mind sharing a moment of vulnerability or a time that you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, and some of the outcomes that came of that?
Well, I'm happy to start off with that.
Yeah.
When we started this meeting, our group in January, I was feeling completely unready. I was thinking, what? We're just jumping into this ocean. I don't even know how to swim yet when we're doing this. Then I realized this is exactly what I want to do with the people that I want to do it at the time that I want to do it. And I had to just jump in that water and maybe hang on to Michele and Matthew a little bit to help me learn how to at least float. But for me, it was a very vulnerable moment. And I was thinking, why am I doing this? And I looked around and I said, I know precisely why I'm doing it, because I trust the people. And I can be my complete vulnerable self with them. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that, and it's so true. It's the power of this collaboration is vulnerability in itself. As someone who's carried the story of I have to do it all by myself for a very long time, I know that I don't, because I have these two beautiful souls to lean into whenever I need it, right? Whether it's work related or not, I know that I could call on either one of them and like, hey, can I get your listening ear for just a moment? And they would absolutely be there for me. And the thing that comes with that is giving up of the identity of I have to do it all by myself. And that is a beautiful thing. Although it is an edge, because it is an ingrained neural pattern in me, right? And so because of who they are and how they show up, I know that I can do that and feel absolutely safe.
And I think on my end, when we were running inclusive leadership, one of the best practices that developed over 5 years is that a leader of an organization, however big or small, a best practice is to wait. If you're in a meeting with your executive team, you want to air the other voices, perspectives, opinions on something before you weigh in, because you carry more weight in that context if you're the CEO of an organization. But when it comes to being an inclusive leader and you want to be vulnerable, then you have to go first and offer that aperture so that people can then align themselves with the frequency and the vibe that you're giving out, right? That's your role as the leader. And so there's very different contexts for leadership and vulnerability. And I have the blessing of learning from Ashok, right? He's the one he gave me a beautiful gift of differentiating between privacy and personal. And you need boundaries. So you're not just running in and trauma dumping on people in a workplace. Like, who wants that? But you have spaces that can be created where you can share in a meaningful way, and you have trusted relationships with people. And that's the measure for success.
I'm appreciative of this. We're gonna have to start wrapping up here. The way that I want to wrap here. Actually, I just gonna say this because it's on my heart. Michele, you responded, and I saw that you allowed yourself to get there, right? So we're talking about vulnerability, and I saw the importance of this group to you. I saw the weight of having to do things on your own, and what that is. And I just want to just really make sure I take time to acknowledge it, because I think that's the edge. That's the place of sometimes our intellect is so strong because we've had to be, but to be able to allow our being and our expression and all that to really dive into something. I'm moved by you tapping into that. And I just want to make sure that I stated that, because it's something I'm not going to forget from this entire conversation, because I felt that I felt you, and I felt myself in it when you did it. So just know. Thank you. We end each conversation with two things. What we want to do is make sure outliers have an opportunity to go deeper down the journey with you. So what I'm going to do is ask this here. I'm going to have Matthew. I'm going to start off with you, right? Since you were the unofficial elected spokesperson, if you can talk about how people can go down the journey with TAG overall, and then after that's done, we'll go around and have each of you speak about going into your own individual areas as well, so that outliers get the full picture of it. They get the group, they can go down deeper, and so on and so forth. So we'll say how do outliers go deeper down the journey, and then the second part of it is, what is an insight that you are leaving this conversation with for this conversation? All right. So my thing is, anytime we come together, it should be a life-changing conversation. And I'm very curious how this conversation was a life-changing one for you, or at least an insight you're leaving from here. If there's any insight at all, don't make anything up. The difference between honest and vulnerable. If it's vulnerable enough to be I didn't get anything from it, then go with that. All right. So Matthew, I'm giving you 3 tasks. Tag yourself individually, and and the insight you got from this conversation.
Well, I started formulating the response, but I think I lost it. So
yeah, there we go. That's good. That's it. We'll let it come. Let it come from the heart. First and foremost, how do people go deeper down the journey with TAG?
You can find information on LinkedIn, on the web. If you look for Percipio Company or Nectar Consulting or the Empathy Clinic, you'll find us. And then you just got to connect with us. That's it. And we'll have an information. We'll see what the connection is. And if there's value, we'll let you come in and check it out. And if you want to stick around with us, we're planning a retreat in Italy in October. And that's going to be the gathering of this trusted advisory group, where we'll get to further deepen, explore collaboration opportunities and what's worked in 2026 and plan for 2027. It's just such a joyous ride that I'm blessed to be on with Ashok and Michele.
Fantastic. And then would you mind sharing with us any insight you got from this conversation, if any?
Niiamah, I took a leap of faith in bringing my trusted advisors in to meet with you, because I didn't really know what to expect. And this has been a gift, and you've given us a gift. And I love that the gift is going to keep on giving, that when we go off air, we're going to find new ways to just stay connected and have our paths continue to cross, and we get to continue playing this game.
Well, I'm grateful for you and you being here. And Matthew, I know that like you might have to take off your outliers. If you see Matthew drop off the screen here, we've discussed this in advance. I want to make sure you're good for all the things. So thank you so much. All right, Michelle, let's come to you, and then we'll come to Ashok to wrap us up. So how do people go deeper down the journey with you, and then an insight you have, if any?
Sure. So folks can always find me at michelemolitor.com on socials, LinkedIn, right? And whether you want to talk about, how you can learn more about TAG or how you want to learn more about yourself, I'm always happy to have those conversations with folks because it is truly my joy to be of service in this way. And the insight that I took away from today was this renewed, it's not even aha, but a deeper level of heartfelt excitement and joy to be in this with Matthew and Ashok. It's like, oh yeah, this is going to be so good. So we're very excited to be doing this all together.
Thank you for that. And Ashok?
Thank you so much, Niiamah, for giving this opportunity as well. So for me, it's an opportunity to answer two questions. Show us your mind and show us your heart. And that's what happened here today. And Niiamah, I don't know you at all, but your empathy skills are superior. And I hope you have been told that along. It's very hard to interview three people like us and do as good a job as you have done, because we're all very strong in our hearts and minds. And what I learned here is that even though we're coming from a different perspective, our three hearts are united. And we want to invite hearts to unite as well, to make our group very unique, very vulnerable, and very powerful at the same time. Thank you so much, Niiamah, for this opportunity.
Ooh, I love that. Unique, vulnerable, and powerful. Like outliers, let's use that as our springboard as we go out into the world today and take action and bring this out to life. All right. Until the next time we all talk,